What's going on, guys? I'm Journey, back with a thoughts video, this time on DioField Chronicle. This game ain't bad, it's pretty nice actually. There's just some things that are good and some things that are bad. It's not going to necessarily set the bar, but very few games set the bar nowadays anyway. So let's talk about it. You are Andreas. You ride with another dude named Frederick and another chick named, I like to call her Izzy. And y'all tend to do things together. Y'all end up growing together, going through some challenges, end up in a mercenary group, and you're trying to now, at this point, protect your homeland against the Empire. And the Empire continues to grow and it becomes a big threat. But along the way, you meet other people. One of my favorite characters you meet is a girl named Queen. She is the team sadist, if you would. She sits there, casts spells, she attacks people, she laughs in the process, and when they die, she's like, who did? I like her. She's pretty dope, and she's fun too. But that's not all. The gameplay, it's a strategy RPG. So when you get into the field of play, it is, think of what you would see in Disgaea, Final Fantasy Tactics, those type of games, but without the grid that lays about. So you are on this kind of plane, and you move about the plane. There are different objectives, enemies types that you can face. Just a lot of stuff that's here. And when you engage with a character, you are, when you cast a skill, going to be on a timer. At that point, though, you can still look at kind of like the skills you could cast, or I should say their abilities, and then see the damage output, because everybody has a light bar. So you can see how much damage you're going to do, and then there are other benefits like back attacks, and like crits. Just everything is here. You can heal, you can buff, you can debuff, you can summon as well. So that's part of the gameplay. But the game becomes very heavy in its abilities. So you'll find yourself casting abilities over and over again because your basic attacks don't do much. And your summonings, it does take a while to get there, so you're very selective of how to use them. But those summonings, they take a lot from the world of Final Fantasy. So you'll see Bahamut, he makes his debut right off the bat, and there's another one that you'll find eventually named Fanir, and there are others that are here as well. So DioField doesn't necessarily have everything unique to it. It's a Square property. So once again, they do pull things from Final Fantasy. But unlike Final Fantasy, I will say their music doesn't necessarily hit on all fours the way how Final Fantasy would. You can knock a lot of things in Final Fantasy, you just can't knock its music. This game has a soundtrack that's very mellow. It's even keel. It doesn't really pick up on scenes that you would expect certain things to start picking up. Even if they do, they're still pretty mellow. But it's pretty much basically a vindication, or at least a representation of what the entirety of the game is. So it doesn't really overstay its welcome, but it doesn't necessarily get that adrenaline pumping. It's really good though to listen to, but it is a more of a long stride kind of a game. That's just the way how I see it. Now, leveling up in the game, there's obviously you kill things, you'll get your unit can level up after you complete missions. There is where you can research to learn more recipes for equipment. You can then invest resources to learn new equipment, and then you'll have to go out and buy said equipment. Same way, well, something similar for accessories. And then there's also your, let's just say, it's all in the menu like institution. And in there, you can also upgrade your summonings when you get them. You got to update different like perks, for instance, like how big the area is for their abilities, and what other type of buffs and debuffs that they'll be able to apply. Same thing for your units, and each unit has different skill sets. So Andreas is a assassin. He's one of the hardest hitters in the game. And Frederick, he's more of a lancer. Izzy is a tank, and then Queen is she's a mage. She can heal, she can do magic attack damage, and everybody has their own different sets. And you can invest SP points into learning more, or at least learning different trees of that perk for a specific skill to help you, well, be more dominant. And then not only be more dominant, but get more things like increased cooldown reduction. So there are most definitely options there for you. I would most definitely like to see this expand to some degree, but you know, there's only but so much you can do. There's a lot of classes to choose from, and it'll leave up for very interesting team compositions. Now, going forward, the way how this whole game plays out, they have left enough here to where a sequel can take place, but they really need to figure out a way how they want to deliver their story. For instance, if you are playing and there are a lot of things that's going to come up to you that doesn't make sense at all. They do have an encyclopedia so that way you can learn stuff. But if that's to assume a player will be more interested in going to that and checking that out is a bad way of being able to storytell, because you're not necessarily putting as much thought and care into how you building these worlds and building these characters. And I really wish they would look at like a series like The Legend of Heroes, for crying out loud. They may take a while to build it, but when they build it and they do things, it's just so good. I think Square could learn a lot from them. But DioField overall is a game I would say, if you're into strategy RPGs like a Disgaea, like a Final Fantasy, War of the Lions, or I should say tactics. People know tactics, the word tactics. If you're into those type of things, Tactics Ogre Reborn, I would say go for it. Check it out. But for me, I like it, and it kind of fits what I'm into. So I can't give this like a crazy recommendation, but if you're on the niche side like how I am, then yeah, I recommend it. That's my thoughts on DioField Chronicle. Until then, make sure you take care of yourselves and each other, and I hope to catch you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody, and thank you. Like and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one.